There they go.
Maglas.
Yeah, poor Maglas.
Tips OTS. Maglas. Maglazy. Glazzy McGlassface.
That's right. That's his name.
Imagine, oh man. So you know this sort of trends where people are like, hey, we're just gonna leave it up to the public to vote for a name for something new that we're making. What if, and just if, Ubisoft, I know you're listening because it's on your time zone. What if we had the community pick an operator name for a new operator? McOfface.
And then we just end up with 4chan involved, and those kind of polls never go well.
Oh yeah, I was watching some internet historian kind of videos today, and yeah, those polls.
Yeah,
they are. We got to teach people how to Pokemon go to the polls.
Well, you just make the polls a Pokestop. It was interesting to see the Clash fake, of course, again. I think that does work a bit better at the beginning, the first round, just because they don't know what you're going to do, what strats you might have on board, and teasing in the first round. But at the same time, why would you not 6-pick to the Clash? So
good point.
Usually pretty good indicator of a fake.
I'd also like to snap back to reality here. Because, no, I'm not going to continue.
Okay.
Oh, there goes gravity. So the Hibana and the Thermite are in play, which is in clear contrast to what we saw on Coastline. Coastline is one of the only, I want to say the only map where you can run with no hard breach.
Some teams like redundancy on this, some teams don't.
Indeed, and especially on Clubhouse, you can play, and you probably should play, with 2 hard breachers. Yeah. Why? Hibana clears out all the hatches, 3 of them you'll need to take care of if you're attacking the church site. And of course, when you have those exothermic charges, it just allows you a bit more flexibility. Do you want to attack via the church wall, or do you want to push in? In this case, what England's trying to do is cleaning the top floor and then saying, okay, maybe I need to push in solo from the dirt tunnel.
I mean, it gives you that flexibility to get both the dirt tunnel wall as well as getting the church wall. But dirt tunnel pushes are so exceedingly rare at this point that it's just something that people don't necessarily think, oh, I need the thermite. More often than not, it's usually for the church wall. But it's also provided a little bit of a backup because the hatches are so important to attacking downstairs. Sometimes just having that redundancy can really make a difference. Although more often than not, you're usually not going to die trying to get down here and open these hatches unless there's some serious roam play going on upstairs.
Yeah, in this case, when all 5 players are focused on droning the top floor, it is easily dronable. If you're doing it solo, it's a nigh impossible task. The map has so many layers to it that even though it looks like a small map on the outside, the amount of floors and the amount of just rooms that are in them kind of are very deceiving when it comes to the size of the whole map.
I'm curious to see if we'll see Ghost trying to counter the Pulse play, something we do see. Ooh, nice kill on my man. There goes Jaeger, hopefully put up all his ADS. But something we have seen is floor bang attempts on Pulse if he's playing inside Arsenal from the IQ players. Not sure what Pulse is playing at the moment, but definitely does not look like Church. Smoke actually playing far back over here is going to actually finish off Hyper. Nice early kill, and that's going to take some utility off the board.
Yeah, of course, Hyper, at least on that Hibana, the Zofia starts to shine later on. There was an attempt here to clear out the thermite charge, and indeed it was successful. I wonder if it was just a C4 that was thrown out. Not too sure. Yeti will move in, and Beastly will find him, even with the information that he was gathering. I'm not sure if the wall there in the hallway is soft or not. But it doesn't really matter. Riser's just going to push in. Crazy's ready by the bar. He'll spray in. He'll find one. He's going to try to find the second as a thermite. England is falling up right behind Ghost, but it all kind of stampers right there. There's not much action happening after that moment. 3v3 with 20 seconds on the clock. Someone has to take care of the bandit. El Bandito will get fired upon, and no, the headshot from Crazy will connect. Low on health. The fuser's dropped right in front of him.
10 seconds to go.
Hibana, Hierophant will move in as you see the goo mines are doing work. And Acid will find the last 2. Bringing the pain. Rise will fall.
And unfortunately, that minibar spot is so difficult to deal with, which is why you see the thermites being brought for church walls, something that was part of the quote-unquote cyclical meta, as Kix put it.
Yes.
And I think that was the specific example he was using when he first was using. That being something that has made a comeback. And I think it's just part of it's just so difficult to deal with someone playing behind that little minibar. more often than not, teams will throw grenades and things like that over top of the wall.
Yes.
And that's a good way to deal with it as well because, well, a grenade is a good way to clear out the batteries and the bandit himself if you can time that well. In that case, did not seem like that was their intention, and that could just be they didn't have anyone with grenades. They didn't bring a buck or a sledge. Because they didn't have those grenades, they couldn't do it. They could have potentially used the Zofia to bounce something over the top of the wall, potentially, if they were in that position, maybe a stun or something like that, but didn't end up being the case, and either way, lost the round on that attack, and that puts one on the side of OrgLess, a big part due to Crazy just playing behind that minibar and just doing so much damage to that little peek hole, which something I've noticed has been used a lot more frequently, just the ability of taking advantage of the destructible of the minibar to use it to your advantage rather than having it used against you like you saw the Thermite trying to do unsuccessfully. They will, of course, have to switch bomb sites because they won that site. So we will be going up to the next best. This was, now at the start of the last time when this map first got the revision, every team wanted to go to cash. And that was the site. That was definitely fallen off.
That was back when certain impact trick positions were very overpowered, and I'm so glad that they're not. I love the technicalities of these sort of things in the game, these sort of mechanics in the engine and in the build of the map, but some things are too good. And, you know, hopefully we'll get to see some of those impact trick positions, as maybe some of you here that are watching are not familiar with those, and what better than a visual representation of exactly what impact tricks look like. So hopefully we'll be able to catch some of that in this matchup here. Now, EMPs are brought, and there you go. See them try to open up the hole, and now the bandit has to decide between one or the other. It's, of course, both the Havana and the Thermite will be in play, and
looks like the...
How did it...
It's possibly... Is it the X-Kairos destroying the Thermite charge?
Was it too close to it?
It might have been too close and too soon.
Does that even happen?
I would imagine... I mean, it explodes.
Can someone right now load up a game with a friend and try it out? I'm going to try it when I get home.
Either way, though, that is now donezo on that.
I would need a friend to try it out, though, so I don't know how, you know, easy or difficult that'll be.
Yeah, there's your real challenge. Well, either way, he's still got one extra thermic charge left. Should still be able to get it done easily if he needs to, but looks like he's going to peel off instead.
Blow it up.
Try and have someone open up the other half. Could go around for the repel and do the old upside down trick, but instead, nope. He's going to use what you usually use the second one for.
Exactly. This usually what would happen is that the Havana would use her set of X-Kairos on the top side of this garage wall, which allows you to look all the way down into the window that you see is rotation position from the garage inside of the server rack area. So it's pretty interesting here to open up an extra wall, especially in a position where OrgLess here will try to contest you very heavily. Now Flash is going to get thrown in, and there you go. That's what we're talking about. My man will get one on England, even do decent chunk of damage here. Our Hyper is down to 75% HP. But Devin, look at the time.
Yeah, this is not looking good. 50 seconds in, you've already lost your Thermite. Did get garage control, though. Cost you a little bit, but that is not a terrible position to be in, but they've got to start putting more damage on the site. Unfortunately, my man, able to rotate around to the oil pit, pretty much shuts that down, and that puts them back again on a huge problem with 30 seconds left approximately. Not looking good.
Yeah, the positive side here for Rise Nation is that they do have the balcony wall opened up, but the diffuser has just been picked up, and they'll have to walk all the way through the garage area to try and get her done. Beastly will find one on Maman to turn it into a 3v3, but there's so little time left on the clock, and Acid will try to lay things as much as humanly possible. He'll win out the fight against Beastly, and then look back down as the smoke of Brian is not enough to clear out the planter. Brian might have to push through this, and he should be able to find the kill here. Crazy will connect, and that's all she wrote for the round. Could barely walk through that X-Kairos hole, but there you go. Fan will still get to kill. It's not enough to win the round for the team. And from below, the C4 will connect. I do believe it was from below. As OrgLess to put 2 rounds on the board, I have to say. Defense. Now, again, Devin, this is a more defensive-sided map.
Yeah, it certainly has been at the moment.
It is the most defender-sided map. The second most defender-sided map is Villa.
I don't have the stats in front of me to see how that pans out, but that sounds intuitively right.
I did check it today, so if only there was a pop-up that would tell me, "Hey, you're wrong." I love being wrong.
That's what I'm doing with every day that I'm not working is working on that for you.
We never stop working.
That's right.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Definitely. Well, now that they've won 2 bomb sites, they have to go to their 3rd. I imagine they would prefer not to play gym, bedroom if they could help it, but in this case, bar is so undesirable at the moment that this is better than that for sure. This has just become a very difficult one to defend, as you mentioned earlier, partially because of the impact trick not working as well as it originally did. Leaves you in a tough spot because we've seen how Crazy can kind of get pushed off his ability to try and bandit trick walls. And that's what the castle barricade there on the gym door is for, is to help stop that. My man putting that ADS right there as well to try and stop them from sending anything flying in to deal with that castle barricade. Because once that is down, Crazy will not be able to try and bandit trick this. Now you will see some teams put up deployable shields and such to try and help with that as well, to provide some element of defense. It is not always the most effective, especially if often there is a Zofia on board and occasionally Ashes as well. Definitely things that can destroy that castle barricade remotely. In this case, this is, some people have asked, what do you see breach charges used for in Pro League? And this is an example. Castle barricade windows, because you don't expose your feet, floors, things like that. Zofia, IQ, and some of the other operators, Twitch as well, will often bring those.
You see a ton of those, for example, on Coastline.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was better than having to use the Zofia's actual other utility that now can be used for the doorway instead. So it's a good way to double up on the utility as well as just having an extra backup. I mean, it was also the case they could have had you know, Vandal do it if they needed to and things like that. But now that they've got that set up, they're going to Thatcher this, try and stop Crazy from doing his thing. They just keep an eye on the window, but they've got to watch cache window as well, because that's where the cross can come from.
Now, I mentioned before some overpowered positions with impact tricks, and this was one of them where you could impact all the way up the wall, so leading into Jacuzzi. And that was definitely a position that made this site so incredible to attack. It was so difficult. And the change that made it so you can't impact Triss. And also, you saw downstairs in the previous round, the Thermite was trying to open up and successfully open up the garage. Well, you could impact through those, and that was in the past. Now you cannot do so. I'm very glad of that. Changes Acid will get shot down by Hyper, and that's a pretty good bit of play here. Yeti low on health at the same time, so Rise looking pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good start for them to take it down. Acid early. Managed to get Crazy off his spot, and Yeti being in a tough spot as well, but he's able to still play over on cache site fairly uncontested, surprisingly.
They just walk into the bedroom. This is a bit of a difficult situation, and they'll get the shot. Hyper will find 2 and 3 as well with the Zofia. Now 5v1. Beastly will find the last one. Yeti will go down. Beautiful play here from the Zofia that just absolutely demolished everyone. And really, it just came down to the defense not really knowing what was going on. They were just kind of dazed and confused and set in one position and all looking towards a singular angle. And that's where the Zofia pounced.
I'd almost have liked to see some better attempts at runouts or things that could really help equalize it, because stacking up in the bedroom doesn't usually do you a whole lot of good with so many windows and access points. And, well, not enough people wanted to push Yeti for him to get a whole lot of mileage out of being on the cache side. You saw him trying to peek that window at the end, try and do what he could. But the thing is, of course, that was the only bomb site they haven't successfully defended, and I think they were expecting to potentially lose that as well. So, while that was Rise Nation able to finally get a point, they go back now to having to fight potentially the other sides. But, as I mentioned before, the downside for defense in the new format is you may have to defend your 3rd bomb site twice. So that more so affects Oregon, but it certainly affects here as well for teams that don't have a really great strategy for gym. But, you know, they can go back to church. And hey, if all you got was, you know, 4 in the first defensive rounds, that's still not terrible at all.
Very true. Very true. 3 rounds minimum. If you can get 3 rounds minimum on the defense, it's okay. But it's kind of your minimum.
That was much more okay when it was a 3-2 when it switched sides, of course.
Very true.
Now that you can go to a tie, which we saw ties at the half as well as ties in the finish earlier, so
you're looking pretty much for those 4-2. 4-2 by the end of the half.
Objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
As you said, this being defender-sided, you even more so need, at the very minimum, 3 on your defense.
Yeah. Well, Hyper, again, on the Zofia in the round. Yeti running the pulse, as we saw him do early on. very first round. As mentioned, OrgLess are able to play back down on the church. Site 1. It's pretty good round for them, I have to say. That's the way that they're able to play behind the bar. It really gave Rise no opportunity to find picks that they sorely needed for the push.
I gotta imagine they're gonna try and do something about that this time, but again, they didn't bring anyone with grenades. I mean, in the past, IQ had grenades, but not in the current iteration, which means they don't have a ton that can huck over top of the wall to the back of that minibar. So they're gonna have to find a different way to deal with it. In this case, hatches, of course, getting opened. No reason not to get those open nice and quick unless you're really struggling to deal with a roamer in cash. But they will do so. I'm curious if England has already used his on Dirt Tunnel as well, which we didn't see him do much with, but an early kill makes me think. No, I was going to say maybe he did, but instead it looks like he got one down the hatch, and that's crazy down. That was the big problem behind the minibar last time, which means maybe now Brian will take up his mantle, but certainly won't be doing any kind of tricking to stop that wall from getting open.
Unsure if the bandit there was trying to peek through the open hatch. Definitely it would be a questionable decision in the meantime, but because the bandit is now dead and because there's EMPs available here Beastly, this might direct Rise Nation to a church push, which is a standard play.
Absolutely, and especially with the pinch here potentially coming out from Hyper to put a lot of pressure here on the backside of Church, but my man winning the fight yet again against Hyper. If he doesn't get taken out, that's going to make it very difficult to push Church.
How did the Zofia Gizmot pop and have no effect on the Jaeger?
He just doesn't feel it anymore, you know? He's numb to it.
Numb to the pain, and there you go. Brian bringing the pain. 1 kill and the second to dispatch the IQ. Beautiful play there by the smoke. Beastly and Vandal, last 2 alive. Unfortunately for Rise, they were not able to capitalize on the advantage that they had. And my man will go down, but not before doing a ton of damage to Vandal there in the back. My man trying to walk back and at least...
Trying. Unfortunately, that's not opened all the way to the floor, it looks like. And
maybe if you got fit with R6, that would have been possible.
You should have been doing some sit-ups.
All right, Beastly will walk in, and just through the main staircase, we'll be able to watch him there. Brian will finish off Vandal as he was down on the floor, and he'll find the next one as well. Brian, beautiful 4K to end the round, and there you go. Man, that was beautiful play.
Well, speaking of Brian taking up the mantle of Crazy there, he certainly did the job.
Yes.
So, nicely done holding down Church solo pretty much at that point. Though my man did a very nice job as well from Blue as long as he could. Put some hurt on as many as he could before he got taken down. Unfortunately, just could not crawl his way to safety to try and get up and get some more. Either way, though, that puts a 3rd on the round for OrgLess now, who, by the community vote, were not expected to be doing this well, I don't think. But we'll see if they can get cash again. If they can, that, again, puts them in that good 4-2 spot going to the side switch. At the very least. That's assuming they lose Jim. But of course, if they lose cash, this time I imagine they will just play cash again. They will not be able to go back to Church, but they will also then, in that situation, not have to play Jim or Bar. So, either way, it's not the worst situation to be in. I mean, at that point, as long as you can win cash 1 of the 2 times, you still go with 4-2 into the second side. So, they're not in a bad position at all by being able to consistently win Church and cash the first time. Yeti going to be on this dock here. We'll see if Crazy's able to do much about the wall. Although I imagine this time they might try and be a little more careful about making sure their thermite charge goes off, which might make Crazy's life a little bit harder.
5 seconds remaining.
I wonder how Yeti's going to set up his bulletproof camera. And
you hear him just doing it right now.
Attackers have recovered their
little screws.
So that's just to watch in case somebody wants to destroy the wall from the construction area. There we go. Thank you very much for highlighting it. So good.
That's very helpful. We'll see Ghost at least looking for what utility is going to be in the garage. That's going to be helpful for anyone trying to push the garage, as we did see a push forward garage happen last time. Seem able to identify also whether or not there's anything like ADSs potentially stopping any nades or anything like that from going. And we used to see a lot of people trying to push the bandit off by opening up the window first. Acid actually playing further over into the bedroom here. And Yeti playing what he was doing last time in the garage, but a little more standing up, looking for anything he can find at first.
Vandal just droning in here. Nothing out of the ordinary, really. Just making sure there's nobody sitting inside of the logistics office. Hyper has already come in from the opposite end of the map, which means he'll be able to pinch out any defenders that are playing in the bedroom, and in this case, OrgLess have had to fall back. Don't have to worry about that sort of thing. And of course, the wall on the other side of it, well, it contains his own teammates. Right now, just trying to push his opponents back, just in case they'd like to get aggressive.
Bomb
now,
located by attacker.
you know, you'd like to have Claymore that's just protecting your back. There's a minimum of flank watch, but on top of it now you open up with the breaching charge, the soft wall that is still set by OrgLess, so it means now rotations between these two positions are possible, extra angles that are now given to Rise Nations, just in case they'd like to play against their opponents in this sort of position. There you go, you can have multiple angles. Vandal will try to use one to his advantage as well. EMPs are getting thrown in as England will set up with his thermite charge.
There's somewhere you can still impact Trick.
And actually, he was he crouching or did I missee it?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was crouching
because
or not, but
if he crouched, it should work. Like the impact should not function.
there goes all that money.
There you go. Brian will find Ghost. Problematic here is the IQ was shot down. At least you'll see. Okay, there you go. That's the fix. X-Kairos on the bottom floor, the bottom side of the floor, which obviously won't allow you to use the thermite. Just can't repel through there. But Hyper on the floor, he'll find one. He'll dispatch Brian, which means the smoke will no longer be in play. So will afford Vandal a possible way to rotate into the
bomb has been located.
site. But my man is ready for the long way rotation. He's just around the Claymore, and they don't know about it. Acid will get one. My man right up behind. He'll spray to the Habana. He'll take one. Can't find the second, though. Enough of delay. We'll just have to see. 15 seconds on the clock. England will get one. Flash in. Bandit will turn away. Acid will spray in, but Hyper will win this one out. Crazy with one. And right above, up the desk. Down on the floor. That's the Zofia. They'll spray him in. And Yeti will get her done. Hyper has been eliminated. And wonderful play there from OrgLess. I have to commend the flank from from the Jaeger. That Claymore, man.
Yeah, that Claymore placement unfortunately kind of cost him the round, or cost the attackers the round. I mean, had he been able to get two, that would have been even more of a problem. Thankfully, they weren't stacked too close together. He was able to get the one at the very least. But had there been two much closer together, I think that would have been a much shorter round. But time being so low is the problem. That's the problem I have with making that attack on that side the way they were, is that you get stuck so often just standing. You're all stacked up in one room, standing around trying to fight it. Of course, the problem with attacking the other side is you very often have to get garage control, and I think they just did not feel like contesting Yeti or dealing with my man's rotations around like they had previously. So it was just, you know, they made their choice, and unfortunately, it did not work yet again. So that 4-2 advantage minimum here going over to OrgLess. Could be a 5-1 if they're able to make Jim work this time, and maybe, as you mentioned, maybe a little less confused as to what to do once they lose that wall, because you pretty much got to plan on losing the wall. In fact, they've done exactly that by not even bringing a bandit this time. This time, Crazy's going to be on Castle, which they had a Castle last time, but they've shifted up the roles a little bit. Yeti's going to be bringing the Echo. Now, the upside of the Echo is he can play offside a little bit more, so we're talking about people kind of getting trapped in the side and not being able to play too far off. He can do exactly that. We had Yeti last time on the Castle, and he was playing over in Cache. Instead, this time we could have the Echo playing anywhere that he feels like he can be relatively safe, that they're not going to push, and just play the Echo drones from there. And thankfully, with two of them, as long as he gets them kind of somewhat in place ahead of time, puts him in a good spot to be able to do something once that wall comes down.
I would like to highlight a thing here. As usual, we're breaking records here in Pro League. As match number 2, Reciprocity versus SSG on Coastline, the 6-6 tie, the first one of the season. Not only was it the first time that we get a tie, but also Rampy, with the 22 kills he got, breaks the record.
Wow.
For the maximum amount of kills in one map, where Pengu previously held it with 21 total kills, but that was on the older format with less rounds.
Yeah.
But still, in total, it does stand. But England will be the first one to fall, and that is a huge loss.
Yeah, you got to wonder how that was done, but I got to imagine it was possibly a run out onto him. I mean, I can't imagine you got that angle through that drone hole to get that kill, but either way, that's the thermite down. So we were talking about, oh, they have to deal with the wall coming down and what a problem that's going to be, and they're adjusting to deal with it. Guess what? Wall's not coming down now unless Vandal's able to open it with his X-Kairos, which is likely, to be fair. There's not a lot they can really do to stop it, but forcing them to have to use that redundant utility they brought means X-Kairos they cannot use elsewhere. Yeti still playing in Cash Room. Has taken a bit of damage again. He needs to not overextend himself because the utility he's going to get out of those Yokais, but no, he's playing a dangerous game trying to use this Pixel Peak.
Yeah, it is a very dangerous game. And again, you're playing a highly technical operator that really gets you into a zone as the round progresses. You really don't want to die early on here just because you want it to peak against your opponent.
I could see why they put him on Castle before.
It would make sense.
Well, just because he's a very aggressive player, and that's what happens.
Unfortunate. Yeti will get shot down here. It's still an advantage. Oh, for Ryan was an advantage for them. Brian will be fell yet again. Acid. Shingen is crazy. Will find one kill going in for the reload. Acid holding on to hallway. As now have to go for the quick peek. He's got one spot, but quickly runs away. He'll try to deny the plant. And no, Vandal will be stopped in his tracks. Hyper will find one. Diffuser's on the floor and spotted by Crazy. No more impact grenades to use on the floor as the IQ will run into a goo mine. Ghost will be stopped for just a second. But I'll run all the way back. Hyper is holding on to the cross angle. What will the No!
The
Ghost! Why are you planting there? Hyper will have to peek in. He still has one Guzmuk to play with, but the advantage is all for Crazy and he'll win it out! OrgLess will take 5 rounds on the defense. What a mishap! Rise Nation had it all!
Hyper was playing so well that round, and he just had to go with the throw by moving into that corner. The one place.
You had it!
You could see the one place.
You had the Zofia watching the rotation. Why?
It was literally the place where he could not see. The place where you were going to plant the diffuser, you were pretty much guaranteed to kill him with a crossfire if you went for it. Well, that was not a great round.
That was as disappointing as it gets.
Crazy going to be switching from the Jackal to the Captao and then back there to the Ash instead. Something he had played quite a bit of in the past. Church going to be, of course, the first bomb site and potentially one of the last bomb sites they get to play here, as there might only be 2 more rounds left for Rise Nation. But this being a defender-sided map, as we were saying earlier, not as big a surprise to see the 5 rounds. Could absolutely come sweeping back the other way for Rise Nation. At least they were able to get 1 on their attack. Fortunately, the fact that they were able to secure their gym second time. I mean, that early kill on the England certainly helped, I guess. But just Hyper coming through the windows was certainly such a big play that just it was disappointing to see it end the way it did. Either way, we'll see how they defend this bomb site. We'll see if Vandal playing, perhaps, for example, behind the minibar will be a big factor. But the attackers of OrgLess also going with the same double hard breacher and Thatcher strategy that we saw Rise Nation going with on their attacks. Whether they will use one on the dirt tunnel is yet to be seen. But definitely seems like if you have an extra one that you for sure won't need, I guess there's no reason not to. You see the holes being open there. As Marcia was just highlighting above the hatch in kitchen are going to make it much harder for people to open that up if someone's ready and able to impact trick that, which is yet another spot on this map where impacts can make a difference. In this case, instead of against thermite charges, it's going to be mostly against X-Kairos, but that is an old trick that teams should be ready for. But you never know. It is worth opening up those holes potentially, though, just to give yourself the option and to make the Habana that much more cautious.
Well, Crazy so far, not tossing that caution out the window.
Nope.
He's just going to drone in, make sure there's nobody around to blindside himself or his opponent. So again, OrgLess are 2 rounds away from potential victory, and they would like to seal the deal ASAP.
Interesting to see Yeti on the Thatcher, because he used to be such a buck main first team. He's definitely shifted roles around.
No, I'm not sure about can he land it? Oh, he'll take down the X-Kairos, but it's not enough to get the kill on the Havana. As I'm not sure if a C4 expended for that is worth it. The impact grenade is definitely a better alternative. Yeah. It won't be enough.
Nope, looks like it didn't work out that time. It was able to hit enough X-Kairos, and now you have Thermite who could open that third hatch if they need it.
And a reminder, you need to hit at least half of your X-Kairos on the hatch to destroy it. I believe it was 4?
It is 4.
Yeah.
It was, I believe, I think all of them or 5 before, and yeah, 4 is definitely a lot more fair, just because there are issues where maybe you hit part of the floor or something like that.
Or, you know, pellets just randomly bounce.
Yeah, you just don't want to end up with a situation where issues like that. But nice angle being open.
This is what I don't like.
Yeah,
this is what I don't like.
That wall.
Yes, and the problem is the pulse is right behind the reinforced wall in the minibar, which, you know, you already see the Legions setting up for the defense there, but OrgLess can, at any point here, just walk into that B side. That's
like
exactly what they're going to do.
Oh, no.
Go for the play. No,
cover
Acid.
Him, cover him.
Cover your teammate. He'll find one. There you go. That's Ghost out of play. Can he watch the second?
2.
Yes. Oh, my man and Crazy will get a kill each as well. Diffuser's now set. C4 will miss in the back. Hyper will take extra damages. Both of them will go down to Yeti and Crazy.
Flawless.
Ladies and gentlemen, I saw the Reddit post literally before we came into the office, and I'm like, yes, we cringe every time this happens. And there you go. That's why. Yeah, I know. Okay. Oh, but it's very easy to deny, you know, anybody wants to go for a church play with a Thermite, you know, but no. More often than not.
Yep.
Not reinforcing that side plays against you.
Yeah. It's just, you see exactly why there's no real variation to it. That gets opened by Ash, and people go just running on in, ready to kill. It was 2 3-speeds running in there, one of them getting the plant down too, so they weren't able to adjust. And so Rise, seeing the writing on the wall that this match is almost over, decides, you know what? Throw caution to the wind. It's bar time. We need a drink after those last 7 rounds.
Reminder that these two teams faced off in the final playday.
That was a very well-known playday. So there was definitely one that did not go well for Rise Nation.
They played on this exact map.
Yeah.
And this is a weak map for Rise Nation.
Yeah, it's definitely a repeat of that. And OrgLess, rather, definitely seem to have stepped up their game since then. Seems to be working good. Hyper actually going to be playing the first Alibi match here. Interesting choice. Something we do see occasionally, especially for roamers who want to play very heavy upstairs. It offers you the ability to make it much more difficult for them to pin down exactly where you're playing at.
But also, you can use Prismas very defensively on site. It really does allow you to be very flexible. Like,
yeah. And the one in the window is always a pain to deal with.
Exactly.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser. Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
So no Prism has actually been used here.
Yeah, I'll probably put it in front of the, there we go, in front of the windows.
Just so you can't really shoot at the
exactly. It makes that room that much easier to deal with as well, because if they take any shots through the window at you, they're going to get marked.
All right, Yeti will move on in. Now, of course, this site is not really played.
Yeah.
I think it's the correct way.
I think it's been played once or twice. I think maybe twice, but I don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%.
Yeah,
but it is
it's like, you were wrong.
Yeah, right. I would mind if you want to pop up one of those for me.
Thank you.
Oh, no, my man. Struggling a little bit to get in the hole. Finally, just opens up another one. Sorry, remember the days when Buck would he was kind of not able to open up anything really worth going through?
It's before the shotgun changes.
Yeah.
It's a while ago.
It's definitely very, very nice to be able to open those. Now, he is going to start to identify at least where one of the players is.
Open the side of the wall. There you go. You can just walk on in. Or try to see, you know, if we can do some damage on the opposite end. Problem is still with a lot of sites like this, you know, if you're not bringing a shield or anything similar, you know, you're going to need to be careful. You need to clear out the top floor before you go down. Now, see the Alibi and the Castle playing close to one another. And of course, my man will open up an even bigger hole to try and move through. So far, no control of the bottom floor. You already see Crazy down there, but he's going to go to the top floor and maybe try to open up the hatch here leading into logistics office. Nope.
Things definitely seem to have slowed down on this attack now. I mean, they've got a lot of things open, but not really led to any kills or damage. And getting down to the minute mark, that's not a good position to be in for an attack that should be something that teams should be accustomed to. But at the same time, probably don't practice a ton on attacking bar. So,
which is understandable why Rise Nation will play this site, because
this is their Hail Mary.
This is their Hail Mary.
Unfortunately, if they win it, then they still just are on match point.
Okay.
games now.
Fair enough, but at least they won't have to play this, very close. Okay, Brian will go plant right by the smoke, and
sneaky.
Yeah, he is spotted by England, so should be able to shut him out here. There we go. Maneuver the yokai away, but not sure if they were able to get it here. Maybe an EMP would be a nice thing to have. Crazy's holding off in the hallway just in case someone would like to push in through that. England will put his yokai in a better position, but Beastly will go down. There is a bulletproof camera, but the yokai will go and be removed. That's 2 kills now for OrgLess. Hyper will find one on Acid, and my man is down as well. Yeti with one on Hyper. Diffuser's gonna get planted, and Crazy will finish it all. OrgLess will take the win. 7-1, that'll make it 2 for the day.
I didn't expect to see the OrgLess Rise Nation match with the same scoreline as the EG Accelerate match. That is unexpected. And certainly breaks any streak that the community vote might have had.
Yeah, I would have gone more towards Rise, but then you saw the map and you're like,
Yeah, not one they're great at. Crazy though, definitely living up to his namesake. Not quite 21 or 22 kills, but 13 not bad, considering the lack of rounds being played.
I have to say, we had 2 close games and then very quickly followed up by 2 very fast matches.
I mean, I expected it to be a little brisker in the second half, but not quite. Down to, what, 16 rounds between the 2 matches?
16 rounds. That's 7+1, 7+1.
Try and only say the math when I feel like I did it correct.
You
Safer
did.
that way.
You did. You're a very smart fellow. Crunches so many Excel sheets when he's at home.
It's because the computer does the math for me. Safer that way.
All right, well, I don't think there's much to say about this game, except
for Rise Nation just not doing a good job.
And it's not surprising when you look at the track record of the team on this specific match.
I mean, we pointed out round per round kind of some of the mistakes that were being made, but also that's not to discredit OrgLess for playing very well today. I think they also played very well in terms of just, there were situations where they were down players, but they still managed to bring it back many situations, even going down to that very first Church round. When Crazy clutched it out in Church, I think it was down to him and maybe one other player at that point, 1 or 2, and still managing to just hold his ground and do his thing, and they made adjustments as needed every time. Oh, you know what, it's not working? Let's just switch up who's going to play what.
It gives me an aneurysm thinking of that defense in bedroom.
Yeah.
Among other things. But let's get a quick interview here to end the day. Pull up on screen. There you go, Yeti. Oh my God. Look at that beautiful, luscious hair.
How you doing?
Good evening, Yeti. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm pretty intrigued by this matchup, I have to say. Really? Ruh-roh. Well, it was 7-1 to Clubhouse. Now, when we saw the map, we're like, okay, Rise aren't really great on it. You guys played against them at the end of Season 8 on this very same map. It wasn't really... It was a very similar scoreline that we had at the end. I don't know what to say. There wasn't really too many eventful things. I just want to get your point of view on a few things, especially in round number 6. Now, you guys denied the gym plant. That was... I'm sitting here, I'm like, what is going on here? Because you denied the gym plant. And you're like, okay, we're just going to play back and see what happens. Then it turned into 1v2. And then the diffuser got picked up, and it was set on the opposite end of the gym, and the opportunity was seized. Like, what was going on in communication there? Because I think the round was just gifted to you at the end of it.
It was definitely like a little bit of unluckiness for Rise because they just planted right where Crazy could see them out of everywhere they could have planted. I also had an echo drone in the corner of Master Bedroom, so we could actually see everything that was going on. We heard the Buck or the Zofia. We saw the IQ go back and forth between Gem and Master Bedroom door. So we were pretty aware of the situation. The comms are pretty calm and level-headed. I was just calling out on the echo drone to Crazy. Crazy just took what information he had and made the play. He saw the IQ literally just walk right in front of him. So, you know.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Now, another point is attacking bar. This is a site that doesn't really get that much play, right?
For a reason.
Now, actually, that's the thing. I would like you to walk me through the reason from your point of view.
So bar, when they redid Clubhouse, that site, in my opinion, was by far the weakest site. That map hasn't changed much. You can still do the same stock push, like with no different. The only difference is the second staircase, but that's just one extra room to take control of. You still need to get control of cache, and you still need to get control of garage, and they just go for the plant. They had 2 roamers upstairs. We were aware of that, and everything else just kind of fell into place. And then I was just trying to play my life upstairs, so.
Yeah. Did you feel that you had to clear the roamers for your attack to be successful, or it was just, hey, let's keep him busy whilst we get it done downstairs?
We knew we didn't have to kill them. The second we had cash control, we knew it was like kind of like a race against the clock with that aspect, because I couldn't hold the 2 roamers forever. It was good enough that I got 1 kill up there compared to when there's 2 of them. So once we get the cash, it was like, okay, that's enough. We can just go for execute, and we just focused on sight after that and got our kills, and that was that.
Final question, and since you're speaking about executes, I will turn my head yet again and shake it at the soft wall in the hallway downstairs by church. It comes up as a question very, very often. Should we reinforce it? Should you not? In the case that we saw today, probably should have been reinforced. What do you think about it?
Everything's situational. Strats are strats, but it's always about how the players play around the strats. You can have strats, in my opinion, are just like the structure around the actual play of the game. How the players play around each wall, anything works in this game, anything at all. But as long as your positioning is good, and as long as your players are competent in what they need to do around the strat, then the strat will be successful. But they just were not competent with what was there. The wall was soft. We opened it, and they just didn't have any, counter to that. And after that, it's just we just ran and killed everybody.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, I have to say. Well, again, congratulations. 7-1 victory, proving that, you guys are definitely going to be fighting for your position, just like you did at the end of Season 8, and were able to keep your spot in Pro League. Hopefully, the name OrgLess will be something that we will not see in the near future.
Hopefully not. But no, not in the bottom 2 this season either. Not the last 2 spots.
I very much hope so. Well, thank you very much, Yeti. Anything you'd like to say to the fans that have been watching the match tonight?
Thank you to the OrgLess fans who still support us. A lot of losses. This is the first time I've been on an interview in a long time, but I plan on doing a lot more. We've got a really good lineup, got a lot of good personalities on the team, and we definitely think we can finish top 4 this season. So that's it.
All right, very, very outspoken. But thank you very much, Yeti. Again, congratulations. We'll see you playing tomorrow night as well. Good night.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Bye-bye.
I hope those glasses help against the sun that he apparently has in the corner of his room. It was always good to see Yeti again in the interviews. As he said, hopefully, for his sake, be able to do some more of those in the future. He sounded very excited to be able to be speaking on camera again. So congratulations to them, definitely, in terms of they definitely struggled a bit last season. This is definitely something where they're going to have to make up for that, as you said, if they want to, find an org and replace that OrgLess. Showing up at the beginning, the first half of the season, definitely a way to do it. Let's say they don't find anyone in the first half, but if they do quite well, I imagine it's very unlikely to go into the second half without representation.
I very much hope so. Tomorrow they'll be playing against EXGs, which is going to be pretty interesting, I have to say. Should be a lot, I don't want to say a closer game, but it should still give OrgLess the opportunity to rack up some extra points.
Yeah. We'll see. Anything goes, I think. In the first half of the season especially, things tend to be, kind of a question mark. But it'll be really interesting the second season. So when we went into the second half of Season 8, one thing that was very different than we'll see with this one is we had 2 new operators introduced in the middle of the season that changed the second half of the season. The second half of this season, instead, we'll have 2 existing known operators going into the meta. So teams will go in well practiced, so the meta will still change, but it will change in a way that's more predictable to the players. So the second half shouldn't be as drastically different as the first half that we saw compared to Season 8. So it's going to be interesting.
We're going to recap the day here by just showing off our standings at the end of play day number 2. Okay, they're not up correctly.
Okay, good to make sure we
just so we know.
It's only day 2 for NA though, so
yeah. So we'll just remind you of the winnings today. Of course, Dark Zero were able to beat Rogue on Coastline. Highly recommend you get to watch that game. And from more Coastline, Reciprocity versus SSG, the first tie in the season so far. EXG versus ESG. Guess what? It's Coastline again. 1-7 here. Victory for Evil Geniuses. And at the end, Rise versus OrgLess. Clubhouse, OrgLess absolutely dismantling Rise Nations, who look like their wings were kind of snipped off today.
Yeah, I hope they choose maybe another map. Obviously, they can't play the same map tomorrow, but Clubhouse, maybe not a great one for them in the future. All
right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for following with us. Our second playday for North America. We'll be back tomorrow. At least Intero and Kicks will be for even more exciting matches. We'll remind you, Rogue versus EG, EXG versus OrgLess, SSG versus Dark Zero. That's a pretty sweet one. And then Rise versus Reciprocity. We'll see what tomorrow brings. For now, that's all from us. Thank you very much for watching. Good night. We love you. Bye-bye.